There are countless zombie outbreaks in movies, games, and TV shows, but all of them leave us with one question: which one would be the most dangerous? Well, get comfortable because after hundreds of hours of research, I have figured it out. But before we dive into the carnage, let's establish our criteria. I'm ranking these outbreaks based on 5 key factors that determine just how screwed humanity really is. Infection speed. How fast do you go from feeling a bit off to craving human brains? Zombie capabilities. Are we dealing with shambling grandpas or Olympic athletes with anger issues? Spread method. Is it just bites? Or do we need to worry about airborne spores and infected water supplies? Global impact. Does this stay contained to one mall, or does it turn the entire planet into a dinner buffet? Survival difficulty. Can you realistically outlast this thing? Or should you just accept your fate and practice your zombie shuffle? F tier. Inconvenience level outbreaks. Night of the Living Dead. Starting our list at the bottom is the granddaddy of all zombie movies, and honestly, it's almost nothing by today's standards. These zombies move like they're perpetually stuck in molasses, shambling around at the speed of a reluctant shopping trip with your parents. The origin story involves radiation from a Venus probe, which sounds like something a 1960s scientist would blame after running out of actual explanations. They're attracted to noise and movement, but their reaction time suggests they're running on Windows Vista. Look, I respect the classics, but surviving the Night of the Living Dead outbreak is basically a test of whether you can walk faster than your elderly neighbor. And, me personally, I'd beat the hell out of my elderly neighbor if they were zombified. The real challenge isn't the zombies themselves, it's dealing with other humans who somehow make worse decisions than the undead. But let's be honest, a decent pair of running shoes, some food, a nice little shelter, and you've basically finished this apocalypse. So this one is staying F tier. Shaun of the Dead. The zombies here are still pretty slow, but they've got slightly better coordination than Romero's classics. They turn in about 10-20 minutes after being bitten, and the spread is contained mostly to the UK. The origin remains mysteriously British, possibly involving a virus or space probe, because apparently Britain can't catch a break even in fiction. The zombies are manageable enough that you can literally blend in by mimicking their movements, which says everything about both British Reserve and zombie intelligence. The real genius here is that it shows how a zombie outbreak would actually play out in the real world. Most people would be too polite to admit something was wrong until it was far too late. Plus, any apocalypse where you can solve problems by throwing vinyl records at zombies gets points for style, even if it's not particularly threatening. The UK is bad enough without zombies, but this one would be an easy survival, so it gets F tier. Zombieland. The zombies in Zombieland come in many variations. You've got slow homers, stealthy ninjas, and tank-like T-800s, all courtesy of mutated mad cow disease. The key innovation here is that some zombies even explode on death, spreading the infection further, which is both terrifying and oddly convenient for pest control. Zombieland proves that Americans will find a way to systematize and gamify even the apocalypse. The protagonist literally has rules for survival, because of course he does. This outbreak is manageable if you follow basic common sense. Get some cardio, always double tap, and remember that sometimes the best solution to your problems is a good old-fashioned amusement park rampage. It's the outbreak for people who think the apocalypse should come with achievements and a point system. The zombies are dangerous, sure, but they're also predictable enough that you can work around them with some clever planning and a lot of ammunition. D tier. This is fine level. The Walking Dead. Here's where things get properly sinister. The wildfire virus is dormant in everyone, meaning every single death results in reanimation unless the brain is destroyed. These walkers are slow but have enhanced hearing and smell, and they gather in massive herds that can overwhelm even the most prepared survivors. The global impact is devastating, with a survivor ratio of about 1 in 5, 0. The Walking Dead outbreak is terrifying not because of the zombies themselves, but because of the psychological warfare it wages on survivors. You can never truly die in peace knowing you might come back to eat your loved ones. It's the outbreak that asks, what's worse, the monsters outside or the ones you become? The walkers are manageable in small numbers, but they're like a persistent rash that just keeps spreading. The real kicker is that this outbreak doesn't end, it just keeps going, turning survival into a full-time job with no retirement plan and terrible benefits. Army of the Dead. This outbreak features 2 types of zombies, regular shamblers and intelligent alpha zombies, led by Zeus, who escaped from Area 51. The alphas have formed their own society, complete with zombie animals and a structured hierarchy. They hibernate during the day and become active at night, which adds a convenient timer to all your undead encounters. This is what happens when zombies discover organizational management and city planning. The alpha zombies have basically turned Las Vegas into their personal kingdom, which is both impressive and deeply unsettling. It's like if a zombie apocalypse got an MBA and decided to focus on sustainable undead development. The fact that they've domesticated zombie animals and created a functioning society means they're not just mindless monsters anymore, they're competition. Plus, any outbreak that requires a heist movie setup to resolve gets points for entertainment value, even if it makes survival significantly more complicated. C tier, Danger Zone, Dead Rising. By day, zombies are slow and manageable, stumbling around like confused shoppers looking for a bathroom. By night, they become fast, strong, and genuinely dangerous, with enhanced senses and improved coordination. The infection spreads through parasitic wasps and zombie bites, with an average 24-hour incubation period, and some zombies retain their professional skills from their living days. This is the zombie apocalypse that runs on a predictable schedule, like the world's worst retail job. During the day, you can wander around fighting zombies with whatever random objects you find in the mall, which is both ridiculous and oddly satisfying. But when night falls, suddenly, every zombie transforms into a competent threat, turning your shopping spree into a desperate fight for survival. The fact that some zombies remember their jobs means you might face off against a zombie chef who's still surprisingly good with knives, or a zombie security guard who remembers how locks work. It's like fighting your former coworkers, but with more biting and less small talk. Dawn of the Dead. These zombies are fast, aggressive, and spread rapidly through bites alone. Unlike other outbreaks, there's no universal reanimation, just good old-fashioned infection through contact. The global spread is terrifyingly quick, with society collapsing within days rather than weeks or months. This is the outbreak that proved speed kills, literally. When zombies can run as fast as you can, suddenly every zombie movie survival strategy goes out the window. No more leisurely walks away from danger. No more barricading doors and feeling safe. These zombies will chase you upstairs, through parking lots, and probably right into your nightmares. The rapid global collapse shown in the opening credits is genuinely one of the most effective world-ending sequences ever filmed. It's the difference between a slow leak in your roof and a burst pipe. Both will flood your house, but one gives you time to call a plumber, while the other requires immediate panic. B tier, You Might Be Cooked. Wreck, a Spanish found-footage film that combines demonic possession with viral infection, because apparently one apocalyptic threat wasn't enough. The infection originates from a demonic enzyme that mutated into a virus, creating fast, aggressive infected that can only be temporarily warded off by religious prayers and items. The spread is through bites and bodily fluids with variable incubation periods, and while contained to specific locations, it's nearly unstoppable within those confines. This outbreak is terrifying because it breaks the rules of both zombie movies and exorcism films simultaneously. You've got infected that move like they're hopped up on supernatural energy drinks, but your holy water only works as a temporary pause button, not a permanent solution. The claustrophobic apartment building setting makes every encounter feel like a boss fight in a hallway you can't escape from. It's the outbreak that asks, what if zombies, but make them immune to everything except prayer, and also make them really, really angry? The found footage style just adds to the panic because you're experiencing the apocalypse through someone who's clearly not qualified to handle it. I Am Legend. Will Smith versus an entire species of nocturnal super predators, and somehow the loneliness is the scariest part. The Darkseekers are the result of a failed cancer cure that went airborne, creating fast, strong, intelligent creatures that are extremely sensitive to UV light. They're nocturnal hunters that work in coordinated groups and have wiped out most of humanity, leaving isolated survivors like Robert Neville. This outbreak creates the loneliest apocalypse possible. During the day, you're the king of an empty world, driving around in expensive cars and talking to mannequins because there's literally nobody else left. But when the sun goes down, you become prey to creatures that are faster, stronger, and smarter than you, and they remember exactly where you live. The UV sensitivity gives you a daily reprieve, but it also means you're living on a timer every single day. It's like having the world's worst roommates who only come out at night, trash the place, and actively try to murder you. The psychological impact of being possibly the last human alive would break most people before the Darkseekers even got to them. Train to Busan. The infection spreads through a bioengineered leak, creating fast, sound-attracted zombies that turn within minutes of being bitten. They're blind in complete darkness but relentless in pursuit, and the virus affects animals and water supplies as well. The outbreak leads to total societal collapse within Korea extremely quickly. This outbreak is pure nightmare fuel because it happens in the worst possible location, a speeding train where you can't just walk away from the problem. The zombies are fast enough to keep up with panicked humans, smart enough to follow sounds, but dumb enough to be confused by darkness, which creates this horrifying game of hide-and-seek at 200 kilometers per hour. The rapid infection time means every bite is essentially a death sentence with a very short appeal period. Plus, the fact that animals can be infected means even your emotional support dog might try to eat your face. It's the outbreak that proves sometimes the real monster is other passengers who won't let you switch train cars. We're all doomed. Level events. Resident Evil. The T-virus is a deliberately engineered bioweapon that creates various types of undead, from slow shamblers to agile hunters and massive, mutated BOWs, bioorganic weapons. Spread occurs through bites, contaminated water, and airborne transmission, with infection times ranging from hours to seconds depending on exposure. Umbrella Corporation's cover-ups ensure outbreaks spread globally. This is the outbreak that proves corporate evil is scarier than any monster. While other apocalypses happen by accident or natural mutation, Resident Evil zombies are the result of deliberate human greed and stupidity. The T-virus doesn't just create zombies, it creates an entire ecosystem of nightmares, from zombie dogs to tyrants that make Hulk look like a gentle giant. The real horror is knowing that somewhere in a boardroom, executives were probably discussing quarterly projections while their bioweapons were eating people. It's capitalism taken to its logical extreme. Commodify death itself, and then lose control of your own product. The variety of infected means you never know what fresh hell you'll encounter next, and the corporate conspiracy ensures that even if you survive, the next outbreak is probably already being shipped to a lab near you. Dying Light. A zombie outbreak that operates on a day-night cycle so extreme it turns survival into the world's deadliest version of beat the clock. The Heron virus creates sluggish infected during the day but transforms them into agile, deadly volatiles at night. The infection spreads through bites and scratches, with the quarantined city serving as a testing ground for both the virus and various experimental treatments. This outbreak essentially turns every day into a speed run, where failure means becoming zombie food. During daylight hours, you can handle the infected with some decent parkour skills and improvised weapons. But when night falls, the same shambling corpses transform into apex predators that make horror movie monsters look like friendly neighborhood cats. The volatiles are fast enough to match your parkour, smart enough to hunt in packs, and strong enough to tear through whatever shelter you thought was safe. It's like playing a video game where the difficulty automatically switches from easy to nightmare every 12 hours, and you don't get to pause or save your progress. The quarantine aspect adds another layer of despair because even if you survive, you're still trapped in a city-sized prison with monsters that get stronger when the lights go out. Left 4 Dead. The zombie outbreak designed specifically to test whether you and your friends can work together under pressure. Spoiler alert, you probably can't. The green flu creates fast-moving, common infected, along with specialized, special infected, including tanks, massive brutes, hunters, pouncing predators, and boomers, walking vomit bombs. The infection spreads rapidly through bites, and the virus attracts infected to sound, creating massive hordes that respond to gunfire and explosions. This outbreak is specifically designed to punish lone wolves and reward teamwork, which means most of us are screwed from the start. The common infected are manageable individually, but swarm like angry bees whenever you make noise, which in a firefight is constantly. Then you add the special infected, each designed to exploit different survival strategies. Trying to snipe from a distance? Here's a hunter to pounce on you. Sticking together in a group? Enjoy this boomer's vomit that attracts every zombie in a 5-mile radius. The game mechanics are designed around cooperation, but the real world isn't a cooperative video game where everyone has headsets and respawn points. It's the outbreak that assumes you have 3 reliable friends who won't panic under pressure, which is already asking for a miracle before you even factor in the flesh-eating monsters. S tier. Absolute extinction events. The Last of Us. What happens when a real-world fungus decides to upgrade its infection methods and target human brains specifically? The cordyceps fungus mutated to infect humans, creating a progression of infected stages from fast runners to armored bloaters to nightmarish rat kings. The infection spreads through bites and airborne spores with a 2-day incubation period. The global pandemic has brought humanity to the brink of extinction, with quarantine zones representing the last bastions of civilization. This outbreak is terrifying because it's based on a real fungus that already controls other species in nature. The progression system means that infected don't just stay the same level of dangerous, they evolve into increasingly horrific forms over time. Runners are fast and aggressive. Stalkers are stealthy hunters. Clickers hunt by echolocation and can kill you instantly. And bloaters are basically walking tanks that throw spore bombs. The spores add an environmental hazard that makes entire areas uninhabitable without gas masks, meaning you can die just by breathing in the wrong place. It's an outbreak that turns the environment itself into an enemy, where abandoned buildings aren't just hiding zombies, They're actively trying to infect you through the air you breathe. The 20-year time jump in the game shows a world where humanity has essentially lost, reduced to scattered survivors in a post-apocalyptic landscape dominated by fungal growth. 28 days later, the Rage virus creates infected that are consumed by pure aggression, moving at full sprint speed with enhanced strength and no sense of pain or self-preservation. Infection occurs through any bodily fluid contact, with a terrifying 10-20-second incubation period. The virus decimated Britain so quickly that neighboring countries had time to quarantine the entire island. This is peak nightmare fuel because these infected don't behave like typical zombies. They behave like psychotic predators hopped up on supernatural adrenaline. They don't shamble, they sprint. They don't moan, they scream. They don't get tired, they don't stop, and they don't care if they hurt themselves in the process of getting to you. The 10-20-second infection time means any encounter is potentially instantly fatal, and there's no grace period to say goodbye or make peace with your fate. The infected essentially starve to death eventually, but that's small comfort when eventually means weeks or months of pure aggression. It's the outbreak that proves sometimes the scariest monster is humanity stripped of everything except rage and hunger. World War Z. The zombie apocalypse that combines every single terrifying element from every other outbreak and then adds physics-defying zombie pyramids just to make sure you're properly terrified. The Solanum virus creates fast, aggressive zombies that swarm in massive numbers and can form human pyramids to scale walls and buildings. Infection occurs through bites and scratches with a terrifying 12-second incubation period. The global impact creates worldwide zombie tides that sweep across continents, with some zombies showing specialized traits like bulls that charge through obstacles. This outbreak basically took every zombie trope and cranked it up to 11, then broke the volume knob. The 12-second infection time makes 28 days later look slow and manageable. The swarming behavior means individual zombie encounters don't exist. You're always facing hundreds or thousands at once. The pyramid formation ability means no wall, no building, no obstacle is truly safe because they can literally climb over each other to reach you. The global scale shows zombie waves washing over entire cities like tsunamis made of teeth and claws. It's the outbreak that proves humanity's survival instincts are no match for a virus that turns people into components of a collective hive mind focused entirely on spreading the infection. The zombie tornado sequences are both ridiculous and absolutely terrifying because they represent a level of coordination and scale that no human preparation could possibly account for. If you enjoyed this video, you'll enjoy my video about every way to fortify your home in a zombie apocalypse. Click it now.